call the meeting to order at 5:36. It's being recorded for WHCA to post on YouTube at a later date. Do a quick roll call. Justin Evans, present.
John Galvin.
Heidi Hosmer.
Brittany Cavallo.
Adam Somerville.
And we heard from Richard Bloss and Steve Egan that they can't be here tonight. First business is approve the meeting minutes from January 15th, 2026. Actually, we had a short group there, and most of you guys weren't here.
Yeah, we can't
So,
vote.
yeah.
You can actually vote.
You
if
can
you
vote in the minute, yeah.
You
but-
can vote. You don't have to abstain. You
Okay.
can vote if you like I said, it's weird, even though you weren't here,
They're
but
still on minutes.
you could still abstain. It will still, I mean, I was here, you
It
were
was just the two of us. That
All
were
right,
voting
so
on it, yeah.
why don't I make the motion to accept them, and one of you can second it, even though you weren't here, and then abstain on the vote?
Second it.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, easy enough. Did it look good to you, John?
Yeah, it did, yes.
Okay.
I just read it, actually.
Good. All
I
right.
had read it before, but I read it
I
again.
love it.
So.
I love the way these come out. I
Yeah.
honestly love the way they come out.
Oh, good. Yeah, I've shared that.
Yes, I got
algorithm
that.
with
Thank you.
and John, actually. All
That's
right.
gonna-
All in favor?
Yeah.
All right, unanimous.
Amen.
We had no invited guests, although we do have Jason DeRozier in the back of the room from Old Colony Planning Council. Is there anything you want to do as an invited guest?
No.
Okay.
Just thanks for
Quick and
showing
easy.
up.
Thanks for coming.
So I think the big topic for today was expedited permitting. I shared with you folks I don't think I wrote down the
Guidebook.
Guidebook.
I
yeah.
was gonna print it. I was gonna print it. It's 73 pages.
Yeah, pretty long.
It was really interesting.
It was,
Yeah, it
interesting, and
was.
it was like a Great Recession era zoning reform book. So some of it may be dated, although I don't think we've adopted much of the recommendations in it.
Right.
Right.
I think one of the things I noticed in going through it, I didn't read the whole thing, but I did try to read some, is that it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah,
and
right.
one of the things that is nowhere to be found here is online kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of what they talk about, to me, could be streamlined into focusing it in on taking a lot of the suggestions and how do we make it work on the website and online. And I don't know enough about the permitting as it exists now.
Yeah.
And I think that would be important to understand where we're at now before we start implementing, there was some great ideas, but having, schematic flow charts, that's, kind of outdated, but I mean, it was cool, all the stuff. And like I said, I don't know enough about how it all works. So they were talking about how we can streamline. I'm like, well, how do we do it now?
Right.
So to me, that would be the most, before we really tackle on what we could do here, to discuss more how it's done now before we start trying to streamline it. Because it would, to me, it would help a lot. How much of our stuff is online now? How many of the applications are on that? I know that's kind of new to us in the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah,
getting all this stuff
we
online.
We bought Permitize and got most of our building and health permits online. Fire permits are finally online through a different system. Most of the select board permits, I think, are online. So but it is still fairly new and not quite. I don't think there's a map for how to.
Yeah.
If you're applying for this, whatever small business, these are the permits you need to get.
I mean, one of the things that I liked in what they were talking about is having a point of contact for people in the town. And honestly, I think this committee would probably be a good point of contact. And then they also talked about having like teams. So if we had like a team, and I don't know if it has to be someone directly from, maybe somebody from this committee chairs a team. Maybe we have a couple different teams where we get committee members, so it's not just the members that are in our committee, but somebody else to work on it, so there is a point of contact
Yeah.
But again, I don't know enough about how we do it now to really.
Yeah.
Those are just some of the things that kind of popped into my head.
For me, when it was talking about like we're gonna do like joint sessions, like I like that aspect where like if you have to go in front of planning, you have to go in front of zoning, you have to go in front of building, like we're all needed at the same time. To your point, I don't know the actual permitting process of if it goes to planning before it goes to building or it goes to zoning before, if we're going to put everyone in the same room or we're kind of putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
So we'd have to understand how the processes work today before we can really say what we think.
There's a lot of redundancy because you got to come to before us when it goes to, I know when it goes to zoning, we just make a recommendation.
Right.
Half the time we have no idea what we're looking at because the plan is just a topographical plan,
Okay.
whatever you want to say. We don't know what the facade of the building's going to look like. We have nobody to come in to ask us questions. We're trying to make it so we can ask questions.
Yeah.
We ask the person, the builder, to come in, but there's a 50-50 shot, if they will. Some of them do come in and talk to you if you have questions.
Yeah.
But you gotta
they do
do-
ultimately know that the approval comes from the zoning board. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, all he does is, I know, like, you know, John reads approval or denial from the planning board, approval or denial from the fire chief, police chief, and everything like
Yeah.
that. So there's a lot of redundancy if you get everything in one.
yeah, and so you're probably the right person to know most of the process.
Some of it. I've
Yeah.
never pulled a permit in my life for
Yeah.
something, but I've seen them.
So, like, is it something that you think, in your experience, that we could streamline into all the boards are getting together at once?
Yeah. It's a lot. The more the process is, it's all right. So you send the plans and the application to the planning board. All right, we're going to send our meeting. We're going to send it off to the zoning board. They're not going to see it for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
Or maybe a month or two. So just trying to cut out the middleman that's just saying, yeah, it looks good for no reason. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not trying to take something away from us. I don't
Right.
mind looking at the place. It's nice to know what's going on in town.
I think planning and zoning probably makes the most sense if we did consolidate a public hearing.
Yep.
Maybe
Right.
Conservation Commission, but there's another.
Because a lot of towns don't even have planning boards anymore. They just all goes to the zoning.
Well, or they have a town.
Oh, they have a town planner. That was
Yes,
the,
well, that-
that was
yeah,
the other
that's
thing I was
true,
going to
too.
bring up. And you know, as you go through this document, town planner, it's mentioned all the
That's the
time.
biggest thing.
And it's like, you know, to me, that would be something that would be a priority for us to try to advocate for that somehow, even if we share it with another town somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I'm seeing a lot of that now where like Hanson just did their veteran service with another town. I don't know why it wasn't us, but anyway,
Yeah.
because our veteran service lives in Hanson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we try to cut his hours in the spring.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, to me, that's something, you know, I mean, how do we set that up to get, you know, I mean, to me, that would be something that we'd want to advocate for.
Yeah.
Again, before we start trying to streamline processes.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a huge part of what's missing in our town is that we don't have a town planner.
Yeah.
Now, Rockland has a town planner, but they still have its planning board as well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most common is still
Yeah.
having a planning board with the town planner, but then the planner can guide stuff through the
Exactly, and that's what
Steve and Dick would be
that's
the
what they're
perfect
doing.
people
Yeah.
to tell
Yeah,
us what's the process they have
Yeah.
to go to.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
I have to go to him, and him. Or I can just go here.
Yeah.
I don't know what the process is before us.
So maybe we revisit this at a later meeting when we know other people. I mean, I don't know where you want to go with this from this meeting.
This was one that I didn't know a ton about, was curious to look into, and I just know that, Weymouth and a lot of their redevelopment, Quincy and a lot of their redevelopment has made this a priority.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to get projects approved because we've got the shorter window to review.
It sets standards.
Yeah,
across the
set a
board,
standard
yeah.
and make it very clear to anybody looking to come to town to build. So it's not just, the Steves that know how the process works that can
Right,
develop a project in town.
and it's not going from here and then going there and then going
Right.
there.
If we make it easier for people to invest in the town, they're more likely to invest in the town.
Correct.
Exactly.
It would be nice to know too if something you have to wait 60 days could be cut to 30 days.
Yeah.
Just to make it easier and a little faster for them.
Well, I think-
wait 6 months to build something.
A lot of this they talked about at the beginning. They talked about having, even suggesting that there's some kind of outside guy, like I don't know if it was a lawyer they were talking about, but having somebody, work with the group that's going through the process to guide them through.
Yeah.
That was an outside, wasn't even part of the town. And like I said, I don't know if that's a lawyer or what you do
Right.
there.
And on particularly difficult projects, the zoning board or the planning board can require an applicant to provide an outside consultant to do that kind of work.
Yes, we make them get if it's a development, we have our own town engineer. They have to have their engineer too to go back and look at this, and that before bonds are released.
Yeah.
So.
What are your thoughts, sir? Seeing anything like that since you're sitting up there? Why don't you come join us up there? So
I don't know if I was allowed to sit at the.
yes,
You can sit at the
absolutely you
table.
can.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you must see a lot of different towns that do it well or don't do it well, and
Do what well? Permitting and
permitting and all that stuff. I don't know how much you guys get involved with that. It's probably long after you guys have done your thing. I don't really know, but
So, in my role at Old Colony Planning Council, so I'm a Whitman resident as well. I'm the senior planner for housing, and so I do housing planning. Although one of my first projects at OCPC was to write the town's open space and recreation plan. So that doesn't involve any permitting or anything.
right,
it's
right,
just sort of like writing the plan. I'm working with the town of Abington currently on on a comprehensive zoning review, so essentially a zoning diagnostic where I'm reading their zoning bylaw line by line to identify gaps, redundancies, and consistencies, streamlining things where it makes sense. Expedited permit review is probably going to be one of the recommendations that comes out of that, because from a planning and development standpoint, if you have expedited permit review, it lowers the cost because it doesn't take as long for a developer to go through it, right? And so lower cost of development means, in theory, sometimes not in practice, that costs are lower for someone buying that home or renting that unit. I can do a little bit of research to see, in terms of permitting review and expedited permit review, 43D, how that works. In theory and in practice, can easily pass that along because I'm doing that work anyway.
yeah.
And so that's something that I can look at.
Cool.
Sorry to not answer your question directly.
No. I mean, I'm just at this point. Our two greatest resource members on here, so to talk about that, to talk about it, get as much information as we can, or just table it. I mean,
I mean, building a zoning board member.
So to answer right, the thing that caught my eye in this is 43D. So it might make sense, and probably not take any action, but wait for those two. But would it help to designate specific parcels that need cleanup that are an opportunity? I'm thinking of the place up on 18,
BFI.
BFI. Like that seems like something that would be ripe for development if maybe we cut some of the red tape and
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
that needs to be cleaned up there.
A lot of cleanup there. We're probably worse than across the street.
Probably.
Crosby's cleaned up. If they got Crosby's cleaned up, they can get anything cleaned up. That was pretty bad.
BFI used to be a customer of mine, and they were because they were a printer, and they were one of the best run companies I've ever seen.
Really?
It was clean. It was immaculate. It was before they got in there that whoever was in there before them, they were amazing. And then I kind of left town because I used to have my business in town. I was in the printing business then, and then I left and I came back and I was like, "Where'd BFI go?" And then I heard all the stuff a couple of years ago. We were talking about it and all that. And, but I mean, it's a mess from what I understand.
And
but
so, on that property, the select board had briefly looked at not entering tax title, but starting the process to look at it because there's some due taxes on it. And we steered clear.
Yeah.
Because at least right now there is someone is monitoring the contamination. I don't remember if it's the state or the feds in the property behind it. Someone's monitoring it. So we're at least, it's not being left alone.
Yeah.
It's being contained.
Why is someone monitoring it?
Because it's not. It needs a lot of cleanup work.
Oh,
It's
okay.
heavy chemicals.
Safe.
Wasn't there through the select board a look in? Didn't we evaluate that property and find all that? And I can't remember.
Early on in my time on the board, I think we may have looked into it, and
I might even have a folder.
I actually think we opted to not even look into it. Some of the members that aren't on the board anymore were pretty adamant to not putting our hands on it. Like it's
So for what it's worth, in writing the open space plan, Whitman doesn't have any what's considered Superfund sites,
no, I think that's the closest.
but it might be the closest. So it's a little Superfund sites are not impossible, but nearly impossible to remediate and clean up.
Yeah.
If it's borderline, it just takes money.
Yeah, it's still considered brownfield, but
I know Crosby's, they had to put $1 million a bond up just to clean it up. So to make sure it would happen.
I mean, the real issue, depending on it's like we're just taking the action to start it, but that could take some serious money to clean up.
Is someone willing?
Yeah, we'll be chasing grants for the town to clean it up for a while to get it to a point where someone may be willing to do the rest.
It's horrible. Just to let it go, get to that situation.
Yeah.
So what are we doing?
It's also a weird owner, like BFI rented the building from somebody.
Yeah.
So I knew I had something from September 24th, 2020, and it's basically all the outstanding tax bills from that property. I don't know how I got it, but probably was the discussion of whether they wanted to take it in
Yeah, I feel like that was a Zoom meeting, so that makes sense. That
because his
late 2020.
water bills, tax bills, real estate, what else? Anyway. Oh, his BFI.
Yeah.
Same.
But that may be something to consider. Are there parcels in town, whether or not the town owns them? We can, as long as the property owner agrees, we can work to designate something 43D. It may actually take an active town meeting to give us the window, the ability to adopt 43D so that the select board can designate certain parcels. But
No, I mean, there's a lot of vacant. I mean, just on Route 18 alone,
Right.
There's a lot of empty business properties that are what was it? A real estate agent up near McDonald? No, next to the Dunks that was on 18. That building's pretty much empty. If you just on that strip alone, there's probably like 3 or 4 empty.
not to mention Peapod, which will
Peapod.
yeah, it's still owned, but it's a big space for lease.
That's owned by Stop and Shop, isn't it? That whole.
The building, yeah.
As far as new things in town, there's another 14 condos going in on Rye Hill Street.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Going in
did they
where?
Across from my house.
Yeah.
They the guy who owns
Continuing
Distinctive.
the old cart path, or
Nope. If you go the last street before Hanson on 58, Rye Hill. That's
Yeah.
my street.
Yep.
So I had the last house on the end of the road. There used to be the gentleman who lived up on the hill. Been there forever.
Yeah.
And he sold the property. It was like 7 acres. And the gentleman Gary from Distinctive Auto Body in Whitman, he bought it, and they wanted to cram in 28 units. He's like, no, I'm not putting in 28, but he's going to do 7 buildings, duplexes.
Yeah.
New growth.
So I figured I'll mention it since we are the
Yeah.
EC. It is growth.
There you
It
go.
is growth.
Something else for taxes anyway.
Now on that 43, what you were saying?
43D.
Thank you, 43D. Does that impact new construction? Because part of it, like if you look at the warehouses that have been built on Route 18, they're not all occupied. So if we're giving some sort of discount to get people in and things, we want to make sure that we have like some benchmark that we're not overdoing what we can't fill now, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about like we said, the 97% capacity. So we only have 3% vacancy in the
Okay.
whole town. So
Okay.
yeah. So I remember the guy saying that last time. The
Oh, yes,
gentleman who came in, who had like 97%. That's pretty.
Of the properties are you only 3% of the business properties or total properties?
No, I thought he said resident. I don't know if it was residential. I thought he was saying residential with.
I mean, there's three houses on our street alone that are vacant.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 3?
Maybe Justin will remember. Remember this gentleman?
Well, one
came
of
in,
them-
he was saying that we were at
well,
like 97%.
The one across the street got just
full,
got filled
like
in. So two.
capacity.
developed.
Yeah, developed.
one-
Not
there's one
is it
down
developed
the
or
Or like
Oh, the ones out
at least a rented
On the end,
rented
and
out
the
and
one on
everything.
your side, about halfway down.
There's a lot more
The
for
brick
sale
house?
today than
No, the
was
brick.
here.
Next
Oh,
to
yeah.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Does that
But it doesn't mean somebody's not living,
What is going
Yeah.
on
waiting
in
to
that
sell.
house?
So it's still kind of
I
occupied.
mean, on like
Does
Route
the
18,
bank
for
own it?
instance,
Yeah.
they've put in the
been many
warehouse
years.
type buildings
That's
across from
weird.
McDonald's.
Like the residential with commercial
No,
below.
they're just the commercial bays.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Down by the
I think
dispensary.
they-
Yep,
When
we
it-
got a bunch of, we just.
I think they qualified as industrial because we got some weird questions after the assessments went out.
Light
It's like, why do we have a
industrial.
boom in industrial properties in the last year? And it's those
It's
bays.
it's those bays. So
Yep.
if we're gonna give credits over here for people to fix up sites and to build, we want to make sure that the things that are being built are actually being filled,
Right,
because we don't want to just build and then have everything that's vacant.
sure.
Right.
You know, we have to make sure that we're kind of balancing that out.
Yeah, I don't know what I remember we put that through to the zoning board, we approved the site approval,
Yeah.
site plan approval for it, but I don't know how much he has rented out and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we just gotta- just
Once
gotta-
it gets past us,
Yeah.
just
I mean, does that really matter to us though? Because we're still, if it's empty or not, what are we getting if it's full? We're not getting any
Personal
extra.
We
property
get personal
side of things,
property.
Personal
tax. You
property
get more income coming
would
in.
be a little bit more
Say it again.
personal property, but the
Oh, right.
actual assessment on the property is
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
So
the-
personal property, whoever that business is owns something that we would. Okay.
They get taxed on what's inside.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
makes
then
sense.
also
Yeah.
the value of the property goes up.
if they outfitted, empty bay versus
Right.
Yeah, because
Right, I
you're
hear you.
getting
Yeah, that makes
two
sense.
things.
and then it's a landscaping company, significant personal property.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Town ever town sales tax? If for so like a store or somebody that sells stuff.
No, only
Not for the
sales
town.
tax.
Just
Sales
meals.
tax, okay.
I think it's
That's
the only
it.
thing we're allowed.
I know. I see
Yeah.
sometimes you see town tax or city
Yeah.
tax on things. That's what I
Yeah.
Mostly
That would be meals, and that would also be like a hotel.
Hotels.
Okay.
We don't have any hotels.
We don't have anything.
Yeah.
I do think we have 2 or 3 Airbnbs or short-term rentals.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
interesting.
trying to change that.
Yeah.
They make those the same way, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Who would want an Airbnb in Whitman?
Why?
Sorry, I'm just saying
If
it.
it's near the train, it's cheaper than Boston. I don't know. Yeah, it's,
I guess.
It's not a,
Are they
Maybe.
visiting the toll house thing outside of Wendy's? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cute little town we have,
People
but
Miss King's Castle there.
there's no vacation.
Now, do those get permitted, Airbnbs?
I have no idea. It's a good question.
Good questions
I
about
didn't know
permits.
if we had a
Yeah.
bylaw
Yeah.
against short-term rentals.
Don't.
No.
Because you have to register with Airbnb, but you don't have to have a permit to,
Yeah.
Okay.
to do it.
So the town
Unless
gets-
you make it when I worked in Boston, they require now
Yeah.
for all of them to be permitted, and you're not allowed to do Airbnb in a building that's not owner occupied.
And some towns in the Cape have put in restrictions on
Yeah.
short-term rentals.
Well, yeah, people just buying up properties and
Yeah. Yep.
And that was irritating the neighborhood. I mean,
Yep.
they don't want
Yeah.
that going on.
Yeah, I mean, not that that would mean anything to us, but towns like, Situate and Cohasset and Marshfield, you would think they could get significant revenue from Airbnbs if
Yeah.
they could figure it
Yeah,
out.
And
especially
they can put the hotel tax, a short-term rental.
Yeah.
especially down near the water, down
Yeah.
the water area.
Anything else on the expedited permitting? I did put a unified application like the DOER solar application. So for the, John who was here at the last meeting where was the last one we talked about that?
Just the two of you?
Before, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Dick and Steve. So if you remember on the solar battery
Right.
process from DOER, they're requiring a unified application. So it's the town gets this one application and it sets up the process for all of your board hearings, board
Okay.
committee hearings.
Okay.
That would be a potential streamline different than the 43D single point of contact. That kind of gets to the same end. But again, I think we would need someone who knows the process to know if we should tweak it.
Just since you brought that up, are you going to put that forward to the select board, or did?
I was going to get it on the last agenda. We pulled it when it ended up being a 3-hour meeting, so it was the right call.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we're looking at next year's town meeting to adopt anything, I figure we can wait a bit. But yeah, that should be on a meeting in March. And actually, it was February that we were expecting the final battery storage template bylaw. So we may have some actual language to.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. I think that is probably the short term.
Short. That's probably the first thing we want to work on. I mean, we talked to I know it's kind of not on the agenda, but we talked about the property behind the DPW building, and also for being battery storage, and there was. Justin had already said we had a company interested before up on the end of Auburn Street.
Yeah.
And it's significant money. I mean, it could be a lot,
Yeah, a couple $100,000 to $1 million a year in pilot. So it would be a pilot instead of paying the personal property taxes because it would depreciate pretty quickly.
Okay.
And for them, it's a lot cheaper up front to agree to a 20-year pilot than it would be
Okay.
paying. Yeah. an
We had
enormous
talked
amount of
about
taxes
that
up
a
front.
few meetings ago,
Yes.
briefly.
Yeah.
That'd be a pilot.
Do we know about? Well, we talked about fire. Can fire handle that?
So in our last meeting, I had actually talked to Chief Clancy,
Okay.
and he was aware of when they were planning or possibly planning the one on Auburn Street,
Yeah.
and he looked into it, and he actually he's very much in favor of
Okay.
it because there's revenue to him as well. So he gets certain, I don't know exactly what it is,
Yeah,
but
there's some benefit.
so he looked into it
Agree.
and he had no problem with it. He was actually the one that suggested to me that the DPW property might be better because number one, it's town owned, and number two, it's easier for us to deal with it. So,
maintain and things.
yeah.
Okay.
yeah, so especially now that it's such beautiful property, now the access would be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing we talked about in our last meeting was the field that's now the garden. The town garden might get sacrificed if we needed, but I mean, what are we going to do?
Find a new
We would have to
location.
Yeah, I
relocate
could
that.
find a new
There's the
location.
people.
Yeah, well, that would be a
We'd have
prime
to
location.
relocate
Yeah.
it somewhere.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like that, I don't imagine. But that starts from scratch
We
every
might
year,
let us
right?
have
It's
a
not.
little bit.
What? Yeah, no, they have
Yeah.
plots
Might
though.
be
I
the
think
they have
I think whoever has the plot
Ask him.
gets it the next year,
Yeah.
and I've heard people trying to get in there and they got
Yeah,
waitlisted.
People
Yeah.
want to be in there.
Yeah,
so, like,
I
we
mean-
can't get rid of it completely.
So
No.
from what I've been able to tell from the open space plan, that the gardeners are I don't know if I want to say that word, but are maybe squatters. Because we were looking at that site, because out of the survey that we did for the open space plan, three of the biggest priorities for Whitman residents who filled out the survey were a dog park, like a fenced-in
Yeah.
dog park,
Yeah.
Oh, I would
a
love
skate
that.
park for the kids, and sort of like a teen rec center and community center. There was some discussion of that sort of fenced off garden plot
Yeah.
as being sort of like a combination dog park and because you could do both in there. And from in conversations with the Conservation Commission, it appears that there might have been some gentleman's agreement like many years ago of like letting that be a community garden temporarily,
Okay.
but that temporary has expired. So you might want to look into like whether or not there's any control or if the town can, not instantly like kick people out, but give them sort of like.
Well, I mean, is that
eviction.
that was a softball field forever,
Yeah.
and so is that field still controlled by the recreation?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, you have somebody that could find
Yeah, I
out
should.
for it.
I should
But
look
aren't
that
all
up.
the fields in town managed by the DPW?
No, they're
They're maintained with the DPW, but the rec department manages.
yeah. So the rec department assigns. So if you want to
Yes,
practice,
you are
if you're even if you're Whitman baseball, you have to go through the rec department to
Get a
get
schedule.
the field. Even the fields down at the middle school, and that was a big issue when we were building the middle school. To who had control of those fields once the middle school was built.
Okay.
And initially, the initial lease, we didn't have control of it, and that was what the MSBA said in their lease, that everything belongs to the district, which means we would have had to pay the district to use our own fields. So that was a big thing, and still don't know if that's resolved properly or not, if that lease was ever executed. But anyway, so yeah, but the rec does all the fields. So soccer, football, any towns in
Where the garden is, I don't believe is town owned.
What's that?
Where the garden beds are, I don't believe is town owned. Hobart Meadow behind it is,
Yeah. Right.
and Memorial Field to the left of it is. That one, I believe, is privately
Interesting.
owned,
Oh, really? Maybe the VFW.
and it's also super wet.
Oh,
So like when it rains, it like stays wet for a really long time, and there's like Hobart Meadow behind it, which is a wetland, and the water kind of travels.
yeah. No.
If anybody, I'd be able to use CPC money to relocate the garden.
Yeah.
There's probably got to be something in there if you talk to Ryan.
I bet a town has tried CPC funds for a community garden. We'll see if it's been approved.
You know, yeah.
Oh.
You can ask Ryan what I said. Like,
Where would we put it though?
That's the then it's the
Yeah.
other thing is where
well, if you just do a relook districting, what is it, over by Peaceful Meadows to be a farm community only.
Yeah, maybe.
That's privately owned, though.
yeah, it's privately owned.
But-
Well, so is,
Yeah.
sounds like the softball field is too. The current
Yeah.
one is.
You know, maybe you could cut off a little chunk.
That must be the gentleman's deal he's talking about.
But-
Whoever owns it.
But Hornstra, he's
Not
pretty
VFW
good
that
about
owns it,
the
is it?
town. You never
I don't
know
think so.
what they might cooperate and say. Hey, yeah, sure, you can have
If there's I think
as
he
a
is-
courtesy.
Yeah, we're working on either auctioning off or a corner of town-owned property in the back of his farm.
Oh.
I imagine he'd be trying to acquire, so maybe we can negotiate it to that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
We
can we
move
put
it
a town
down
garden
to
there?
the school that we can't use and make that
Action Park Ave.
teach gardening.
And at least
Teach a
part-time
gardening
until-
class. You're all set.
we're-
wait 10 years till we get the funds for a community center, and
yeah,
I know, Tanya. Yeah.
You
I know.
Teach fertilizing.
exactly.
you
Like,
know, you're all set. There's got to be something you can do.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking.
That can't be that big a deal.
I
After,
think
It
you know,
is.
once the winter comes through, everything's junk anyway. Just
Yeah.
move over and help them sow.
Gotta
think
be
that's
able
the
to
right
afford
way.
it. Gotta be able to afford to tear the building down before you can do anything.
Yeah.
I know.
I know.
That's the biggest thing.
We're all about ideas here anyway, right?
Seems like it. Think tank.
Doesn't mean they're all feasible.
All right, if I can rein us back in to the future meeting topics,
Sure.
we'll make something out of the meeting. So I'd listed a couple of things that we discussed at one of our first meetings, kind of worth revisiting. Is there anything else we should well, actually, so for those of you that weren't here at the last meeting, my vision for what the committee is going to deliver, I guess, is after we get Old Colony Planning Council's downtown study back, we'll do our SWOT analysis for like what Whitman actually has as economic development opportunities, and you know what obstacles are in the way, what various boards in town can do about it, and pass that off toward the select board town administrator's office for probably inclusion in a master plan that we hope to get grant funding for next year. So that would be the sort of economic development strategy. We can hand that off and say this is
yeah. I
where the
like
committee
that.
thinks we should go
We got denied the last time for
for the master plan.
master
Yeah.
plan. We had too many other things going
But
on.
now we got the housing production plan in the works, so we'll get another
Maybe we get another
open
crack
space
at it.
plan done.
Give me something to do.
Yeah. Complete enough of the parts of the master plan. We can just
Yeah. I still got the 2008 one right there.
We're going to put in again for one-stop funding for a master plan in this current funding cycle for
Yeah.
fiscal year 20.
Sweet.
I think we're gonna put it in until we get it.
And we have half of it done already between the open space plan and the housing production plan.
Yeah.
We'll be there.
Nice.
Right. So I think that's and Nick Giaquinto, who is now with the town of Norwell, but was with Old Colony Planning Council, had thought that study was going to be done, around June. So that's sort of the timeline for when we want to have enough of these one-topic discussions to start a SWOT analysis.
Perfect.
So for the next couple of meetings, I was looking at Route 18 as a commercial industrial center. We've sort of talked around it with what East Bridgewater is doing. I think we can piggyback, plus what we've been developing up there anyway. I don't know what we can do to further incentivize it, but I think that can be a fruitful discussion. Town-owned properties and vacant properties was another one. That may, the select board has slowly been knocking those off, so there may not be as many left unassigned in a couple of months, but it's an opportunity. And then what I may move up to the next meeting is data centers. The cost of electricity here may be prohibitive, but
So there's just something, and I don't know if it came through South Shore or not, but there was just something about that on 18 in Bridgewater. They have that huge, after you go through the rotary and you're heading south, on the left, there's a huge empty warehouse. Massive.
yeah.
And somebody in Bridgewater was kicking around doing a data center there because it's
It is
huge.
big.
Hanson's looking at doing it at the light plant.
So they said that the data center the amount of power that a data center requires is absurd.
Yeah.
So whoever was answering this question, maybe I just saw it on somewhere on social. They said that Bridgewater has about 200, whatever it is, kilowatts. I don't know what it is. A data center will require 10 times more than what they have available.
Can't
So,
produce the power.
How do you? I mean, what property in Whitman would be big enough for it? BFI maybe.
So the BFI maybe, but the only reason it may have a chance in Whitman is we've got the 2 electric substations, one on the Brockton line in Whitman and one on the Abington line, in Abington.
Okay.
So we're well positioned to pull a lot
Oh, yeah.
more power in. I don't know why, but we've lucked out that way.
Yeah.
The other thing is,
Interesting.
do we necessarily have to attract these huge places? There's got to be smaller outfits in Boston that are looking for places to store their data. With that, maybe it doesn't need to be something so massive. So maybe if depending on who we're looking at and trying to attract.
So I think the market's gone away from that, where like Amazon, Google, the big, and Microsoft, the big players in data centers are able to cut costs so much by having it all centralized, and then you can just sell the extra capacity to
Okay.
small businesses. So,
They've
So they're
Yeah.
pretty much beating out the small competition, just like Amazon has done throughout everything else.
everything else.
Amazon is among the most of them. I think most of the big AI companies are licensing their space from Amazon.
Well, that's the thing. It's the AI.
Yeah.
That was the other thing they said,
AWS.
that the need for AI data centers is absurd.
It's absurd.
It is because
And it's a problem in my professional life. I talked to a lot of my colleagues in Virginia, in the Midwest, and it's all there's massive fiber installations going on, hitting gas lines everywhere because these big tech companies are just putting in data centers in the middle of nowhere
And not
they're not doing
Not doing
as
the
quick as they can.
Didn't
Yeah,
know the transmission line was
yeah.
there.
The only thing to consider with data centers, though, is their water use.
they're what?
The
Water use. So
Yeah,
15 megawatt data center can use up to 360,000 gallons per day.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
another
So you're
thing.
getting
That's
electricity
couple
and
of
the
towers.
water.
So yeah, and
Big resources.
so for us, it would be something on Auburn Street near the substation where they could probably cut a separate deal with Brockton, who is looking to purchase the Aquarian water desalination plant. But it would be, they probably couldn't pull from Whitman's water capacity.
No,
But those are the kind of things that we could vet out in a separate discussion on
Yeah.
this and like what it would take
right to do something.
to
I mean, to me, the batteries would
battery
be better.
it's just a humming
Fit.
box in the corner. Like
Right.
yeah.
Right?
It's a lot of stuff.
Paying us money,
Yeah.
which is what we need
We
more
need
of.
money.
We need money. We need growth. We need money.
Does anyone else see other topics that they think we could focus a meeting on?
Well, I think the vacant properties. I mean, I was actually 2 meetings ago. I thought we were going to talk more about it, and I was going to actually kind of drive around and make a list of the ones that I see. I mean, like I said, I found 4 right on 18 alone, maybe more. So, if we want to talk about that, I'd be happy to drive around and see if I can figure out.
Yeah, maybe
You
that
know.
could spark something like is there corners of town that we could do something in or
Yeah, I mean, just to
Yeah,
figure
at
out
least have
who
one.
owns it and what the issue is.
Yeah.
I mean, if the issue is, who knows? I mean, BFI, we know what the issue is. But,
But like the Santander,
Santander.
about it, but yeah, like
I mean, there's
what's
another
holding us
one.
up?
The other one's going to be, man, my brain's shit today. Where Stop and Shop had their delivery.
Peapod.
Peapod.
God,
Yeah.
that's a great big open.
Yeah, I mean that's a big building there, and then not only was it what Johnny's used to be, they also took over the video store next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And what else do we have? in
the
there?
video store. Do you
Casinos and
remember the video?
banks.
You remember the video store, Justin? Or
We didn't go there, right?
I
Bank.
wasn't quite sure how young you were.
Yeah.
The banks on the other
My
side.
little brother probably would remember. My sister and I, after we would go up there after going out to dinner and pick a movie, bring it home.
Yeah.
All right. I think that gives us a couple of a plan between now and June. Maybe we'll skip a month as we get closer to town meeting because I know all of us serve on other boards that will probably get a little crazy in the
Yep,
spring.
a little bit.
So, for
Don't
now,
all our articles have to be in already, or is that just to try to get everything in? And
all the articles are supposed to be in by now. I know I emailed one in from the CPC meeting
Yeah.
to get into the deadline.
You know, the only other thing I came up with when I mentioned to you and Mary Beth and Laura the other day was, about that winter, like a winter festival that they had.
Yeah,
So I was watching just Discovery Channel. It was a town of 15,000 people in Michigan, and they have been having a hard time with getting money into the town. So they've got people to sponsor, lighting up all the buildings on Main Street. They rented out booths and all these different things to different people to come and sell their stuff or whatever. And they end up selling all of this, rented out all their stores on their Main Street. But in for 2 weeks a year, they did almost 50% of all their revenue in 1 week, in 2 weeks. We used to have the cookie drop.
yeah. For 20 years, Winterfest, I mean, would fill the center.
That's what I mean.
That's
you know?
yeah.
Rockland
You gotta get
has,
something
Yeah.
for permitting money. It's not a lot of
Rockland
money.
has
but
the
it's
holiday
something.
stroll, which is
Yeah,
Awesome.
and they've
Yeah.
done that for the
Awesome.
last couple of years.
Yeah.
Then maybe we get a hotel.
where
I
are
don't know,
we
it's just
in
something
a
I thought of. The
hotel?
same town was the same
Teapot
size
there.
as with.
Hey,
There's some
short-term
people.
rentals, you know.
Pond Street.
People might freak out.
Yeah,
at a
waterfront.
hotel in the town. I don't know. But I like that Winterfest thing, and I think that would be great if we
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
do something with that.
You just get it's just all sponsored.
Yeah, so the problem with that, I mean, yeah, it would be all sponsored. It was when it ran, and Winterfest for a long time was a separate committee that did fundraising basically year round.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was, they sponsored the carnival over on Memorial Field.
Hmm.
Yeah, in the summer. And
Yeah.
like, that was just as much work as Winterfest, but it brought in all the money to pay for everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the rest
It
of it.
is.
So
Just a curious,
no, yeah, I think you just need a
Yeah.
plan to it.
yeah.
That's all.
I don't know what Rockland
People that are
spends
willing
on
to-
I'll
this,
take a rest of Michigan.
And
but
so-
I know Pam Murphy, so
Does Rockland is theirs church sponsored? I feel like it's more religious than most of the other Christmas
well,
events
the
around.
Baptist Church opens up. Calvary Chapel, where I go,
Yeah.
they go up there and they have a booth. But I could like talk to
Yeah, find out what the
Mike, or I can reach out to Pam and ask her how they fund it. I know
if
they
you
have.
promise to do it a different weekend. Well, yeah,
Yeah, we won't compete. Yeah, I'll tell her no, we
Yeah.
won't compete. We won't compete, but I will call over there and because the friends of Rockland. So I will reach out to Pam because I know her really well. Reach out to my Rockland peeps.
Yeah. It looked pretty cool.
But
They did a different. Every single building was a different color.
Yeah.
People would just walk up and down the street.
yeah, the banks open up in Rockland and they have cookies and stuff and town halls
Yeah.
open, and then up further in front of the fire station, I don't know if he still does it, but they used to have chowder and they used to have hot cocoa and all kinds. The Lions are up there, they have a space,
Well, that's the first year I moved here, and it was awesome. Then
Yeah.
it stopped.
and then they
It
have
was
carrots.
-3 degrees that night. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, it's sometimes
Yeah,
it's
band.
cold. One year when this was when I lived in Rockland, I was on the energy committee and we had a booth. And I remember making, I don't know how much chili I made. I made a lot of chili. And we did stuff like that. And
Yeah.
is there something we can do on Whitman Day? Take over part of the center to get business
Yeah.
involved. A little
that
bit
would
more.
be
yeah.
a good idea yeah.
Right. I mean, then it becomes a police detail shutting down part of the streets.
On both ends.
True.
But
Throw a couple of dump trucks on each end, roadblocked.
yeah,
It works in
That
Boston.
would be cool if we could do that. You might get some more.
Wasn't there
neighbors.
already a discussion on the issue of
Yeah,
police
that's
support
when it
for
came
Women
up.
Day?
yeah.
Yeah.
The what?
There's already an issue
Well,
about.
is it- I mean,
I volunteered to start a town security force for Whitman Day.
Yeah.
I said I'll wear a security vest and walk around.
it's.
Oh, yeah, we had that
Giving away
conversation.
5Ks, and it's
I would do it
you
for
know,
the high-
$1,000 in overtime.
Live for
Police
that
outrun
stuff.
that.
Right.
It adds up.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But
What
yeah,
you're just
that
talking
is-
about,
Rockland has
place
Rockland
making
Days.
events like
They have
that
two
are
things.
recommended in the open space
They have two
plan.
things. Rockland Days.
There you go.
And so the
has a
newly
lot of
formed
vendors come
open
and
space
sit
implementation
around there.
committee can help
Good point.
move that forward.
I think there's definitely a need for more community things like that.
I do
because
too.
it just you add in the dog park, you add in like I don't know if we need a skate park or community center, like whatever
I
those
love a
items
dog
are,
Dog park.
right? Like
Yeah.
We
whatever
go to Abington now.
whatever it is, but if you're adding in all the other things, people bring their friends
Yeah.
from other places. People
Yeah.
and then
This
people want
is
to
it.
get into the town. And, it drives so much more.
Old Cop Path was going to put in a dog park right on 58
Yeah.
on the corner there.
Who is?
Old Cop Path was gonna, when they got the buildings on Tilson, they were going to con off the
Oh.
bottom of it for a dog park. Just didn't go through with
Now
it.
they
They
just
ended
walk their dogs over to my street.
you know.
We go to
I go through the woods into Rockland.
The people I
I
talked
went
to
all the way to
didn't
the-
like going to Abington
Rail
because it's
trail?
rock and it gets
All the way
hot
to the,
Yeah.
for the dogs.
Rockland doesn't have
what
a
do they
dog
call it?
park.
Trailer park.
Oh, all right.
You know.
Rockland doesn't have a dog park either.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to Abington.
Hanson's got one.
I know
My daughter's
my doggy
gone.
has a lot of friends over there.
My daughter goes to that one. Anyway,
All right,
a lot of
guys.
good
Let's look at another
off-topic stuff tonight.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have a lot on the agenda, so it
Yeah.
worked out. For next meeting,
Mm-hmm.
let's try to get one in March, and maybe April would be the one that we avoid
Yeah,
in peak town meeting budget season.
so close. Everybody's busy.
The 19th.
19th looks pretty good
Works
to
for me.
Just don't have it on St. Patrick's Day.
So 19th at 5:30.
Perfect. Yep.
I can go back to the some of the outstanding projects that have had leftover bond money. I can go through some of those. Some we couldn't get anything from before, but there might be something left we can get.
Yeah, to say.
Lyman, Lincoln. Was his first name or last
Lincoln.
name?
Lincoln Heineman.
Yeah, he had us go through. And it was like we had like 20 or 30. We could only get from 10 or so at the time because we were having a hard time. But we got like almost 400 grand.
I know that was done a couple years ago too.
Yeah,
And
but there was a lot
even
left
last year,
on
I
the
think.
table there.
Probably
Do
worth
stuff,
doing, yeah.
right?
And even if we can release it to the developers,
Yep.
if they've completed the stuff, that would be worth doing.
So I'll see if I can dig something up on that.
All right, the 19th works for me.
Next meeting, 3/19. All right, folks. So entertain a motion to adjourn.
All motion.
Second,
All in favor?
unanimous.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.